My name is Rick Ulfik, and I'm the founder of We the World and the We campaign at we.net. We the World is a global coalition building organization with 11 campaigns for change. You can take action with us by going to we.net/partner. And to find out more about We the World, you can go to we.net. On the Welcome to We show, we have three goals: to inspire, inform, and involve. And to inspire, inform, and involve you in creating a world that works for all. That's three I's that make a we. So we can go from a me society to a we society. And on this show, we ask the all important question: what can we do together that we can't do on our own? And today we'll be celebrating International Women's Day and Women's Month. And we'll also celebrate Earth Month, which starts on the equinox, March 20th, which many people and groups around the world celebrate as the original Earth Day. And Earth Month goes until April 22nd, when most people celebrate Earth Day. On the show today, we'll hear from two of We the World's campaign coordinators, Kathryn Davis and Karen Palmer, and we'll also hear from Brianna Skildum and Red Grabber. Now let's bring in my co-host, Sue Blythe, who originally had the idea for the Welcome to We show. Sue Blythe coordinates We the World's campaign for the environment. She is the founder of the Climate Collaboratory, a pilot project of We the World, and the University of Florida Extension. Welcome to the broadcast, Sue Blythe.
Thank you so much, Rick Ulfik. We are, let's see, is it pinned on you or on, can we,
There you go.
sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So I am just really pleased to have with us tonight some wonderful, wise women who have come together to tell us about what they've been doing during Earth Month. And I'm sorry, during Women's Month. And then we're going to be talking about some things that are coming up during Earth Month. And so I'd like to introduce first my friend, Kathryn Davis, who hosts a radio show called Heart of Mind Radio. And this month she has featured several of these wise women who have come together to talk about what it means to be a woman today and how we can move forward together. So Kathryn, tell me a little bit about what you've been up to this month.
Thank you so much, Sue. I want to thank you for including me in this program. And actually, we've been having lots of fun talking about women's issues and our lives and how we can make a contribution into the world. So the conversation has been very broad and contextual. And we've been speaking about birthing and having children and the choices we make as mothers in terms of homeschooling as opposed to sending our children off to school to be educated. And we also have been speaking about how we can have our voices heard in the workplace. There have been a lot of complications over the years in terms of how we view ourselves as powerful people in the world and at work. And it's really interesting because we've had conversation across a spectrum of age groups. So those of us who were born in the 50s, 60s, and 70s have an entirely different experience than women who've been born in the 80s and 90s, in the sense that younger women have experienced a level of equality that many of us older women never really did. And so it's really interesting to see that even though the younger women have this equality in the workplace, at least more than they've had before, they've also lost something. And we had a lovely conversation in our last show in which we were looking at women who don't have the same support systems that we had back in the 60s and 70s. We could choose to to stay at home without any sense of guilt or thinking that, you know, we were slackers because we didn't have a job. It was very natural for us to do that. And younger women who choose to stay home now might feel a certain sense of guilt about that with regard to how people look at them or judge them. But so they're having to make a different choice. And as well, the economic supports are not there anymore. A family would have been able to have a stay-at-home mom and have one worker in the house and own a house and really do well. But nowadays, it really takes two salaries to be able to support a family. So the decisions are not very easy to make for women who may really want to stay at home. They won't be able to feed their families if they do that. They absolutely have to go out to work. And also, we spoke a lot about being able to withstand relationships and what does it mean to have a supportive partner in that relationship, and how I think that it's much more, it seems much likelier that younger women have partners that are much more understanding of the dynamics of sharing household work, sharing with the you know, supporting the family financially, sharing in child care duties. And women of an older generation were, when we first entered the workforce, we had to try to do it all. So we would get up in the morning and send the kids to school and then go to work and then come home and then cook and then clean. And so it was a much more of a difficult task for women who were pioneers into the work world. So it's really just been an interesting discovery as we talk to each other about what experiences we share and what experiences are different. A lot of what we speak about as well is self-care. Um, I think that this is also something that may be more prevalent in women who were born in the 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s, that we prioritize everything but ourselves and are not ensuring that we have self-care. And also we're much more inclined to stay in relationships that are either not supportive or may go so far as to have been abusive. And so we spoke a lot about that journey of learning to stand up for ourselves and moving out of abusive relationships and finding and demanding and having boundaries for how we should be treated in our lives, um, and sort of really waiting or demanding or holding out for partners that are going to do that for us. And even now, I think that women entrepreneurship is much greater than it was when I was growing up. So it's really been an interesting journey as we have spoken to each other and learned that there are so many stories that women share and so many different experiences that women have dealt with and that we all deal with in the world today. And I just think that as a matter of our health and well-being, these are stories that we have to continue to tell ourselves and share with our children and really have open and honest relationships, conversations in our relationships so that everyone around us understands where we are, what we need, and what our boundaries or requirements are in any given relationship, be that an interpersonal relationship or a work relationship. That what I'm taking from it is that we as women have to, in many ways, be self-empowered. And we are defining our lives based on our level of consciousness and awareness. And we can move out into the world in ways that we never could before. Of course, there are still challenges because we're working with the patriarchies, as it's described, our current system, that very often pushes women into um, adopting the same kind of habits that patriarchal men have had in the workplace and in business, and how successful women very often act the same as successful men and become as capable of the kind of abuses that we try to blame on men, when it's really just a product of the system that we live within or have lived within. And we've been talking a lot about how to re-inform society and reconstruct society from the perspective of the divine feminine and from the perspective of a woman's different way perhaps of looking at things or understanding things, and coming into the holistic nature um, of our world by looking at womanhood as being a part of being the earth and a part of looking at how everything is interwoven and interdependent as it is in nature. And what's really been really nice about these conversations is that our assistant in this group is a young man in his 20s, and it's really interesting to see how different young men are compared to men in my age group. And he had mentioned that it never occurred to him not to think of a woman as powerful and capable, because he has this relationship with his mother who is powerful and capable. And he's looking at the world and saying, and really seeing what's missing and how we are not dealing with each other in a humane way. And to me, that gives me a lot of hope to see that young people are coming into the fray and coming into this conversation with deep insights and really advanced perspectives. So my hope is that this group, the We platform, and all the work of the campaigns as we reach out to young people will provide a venue for them to contribute, because I think that without them, all our efforts will fail. We need to bring young people into the process. So I'm really happy to have been able to have that experience and have these conversations. Last month we did the Manifest the Dream for Martin Luther King. Next month we'll be doing a lot more on Earth Day, or Earth Month, celebrating the Earth. And the program Heart of Mind is about consciousness, spirituality, and health as it intersects with all the facets of our lives: mind, body, spirit, soul. Mental health is a really big issue. So we're going to continue those conversations. So people can find us either on the Progressive Radio Network, prn.fm, or on WBAI Radio, and that's 99.5 FM in New York, or WBAI.org in New York. So we're going to be having a lot of wonderful conversations, and we hope to expand that to include many of our viewers and volunteers, because we're all leaders. Everyone is stepping up and finding their path. And what's wonderful about We at we.net is that it creates an opportunity, and there's an openness for anyone who wants to bring their ideas forward or their actions. This is a place for people to land and be able to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, and I want to ask you a question also, and thank you. Could you also tell people how they can connect with Heart of Mind Radio, that website?
Yeah, my website is heartofmindradio.com, and you can find all the schedules. On the Progressive Radio Network, it's prn.fm, and all of these shows are being broadcast there on Saturdays at 6 p.m. And WBAI.org is where you would find those programs.
Right. And also, I wanted to say that my experience of working with you is that you've been doing a lot of important work in terms of health. And as you're now coordinating We the World's campaign for health, I wonder, because you started to kind of talk about self-care and women and that connection, uh, but as in a larger way, you're kind of putting that together. So it's women health and the health of society. But you, I think you were one of the first like innovators of doing a an important radio show based on health. I think it was called Health Action, and you did it for over 10 years, right?
That's correct. 10 years at least, maybe a little bit longer
Yeah.
on WBAI radio. And I'm in the process of reviving that as a podcast. But it's really looking at complementary health, alternative health, and how it's important to look at ourselves as a whole being, understanding that our state of mind and our mental health is going to impact the physical, and the physical will impact our emotions and our state of mind. So we can't look at one without considering the other. And the other part of that kind of broadcasting, which I still do, is looking at natural and holistic health, looking at what the earth can provide as far as herbs and other kinds of healing modalities that are not mainstream, that people can look at as an alternative to the allopathic version of healing, which certainly has its place and is very important, especially in emergency and chronic care. But there's a lot that we can do to empower ourselves through movement and breathing and meditation and other kinds of exercises, eating a healthy diet, and taking advantage of what the earth has to provide naturally. We can maintain good health and really work with those things to improve our health if we're dealing with different kinds of problems. And I found this to be incredibly important during this time of COVID, when people with comorbidities are finding themselves more challenged by the current virus. And there's so much we could do with nutrition and vitamins and understanding how the immune system works, that by improving our immune system, we improve our chances to survive this and whatever else comes down the path later on. There's always going to be something. So the important thing is to maintain and take responsibility for our health, as well as to care in ways that can help our family and friends. So we are building communities around health, and we have in the works a campaign that's going to be launched in about a month or so after Earth Month. And it's going to be encouraging people to choose one thing a day that they can do to improve their lives, and which over time will make a significant difference.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kathryn.
Thank
And
you.
I want to say how much I appreciate and just want to honor you for what you do, and participating in that conversation this month has really meant a lot to me, especially this last one, because I was invited to invite someone, a woman that is important to me, and I chose my daughter. And so we were able to tell a generational story, and it's really like the whole story of the women's movement coming from before. My grandmother was born in the year that the women got the vote, and no, my mother was born in that year. And then when I was a teenager and through my college years, was in the um, early stages of the women's you know, the Equal Rights Amendment and all of that, and coming into this sense of, hey, um, I I count as much as any man, and so it was all new attitudes that I grew into, and made changes in my own life that I wanted to pass on to my daughters. And so it was really neat to be able to say, so Susanna, how was that for you? And she came in and told all of these things about what that she had never grown up with anything other than I can do anything. And I felt like, oh, I gave that to her. Oh, thank goodness. And the other thing that I really appreciated about her comments was she said that my mom used nonviolent communication before that was a thing. And I thought, oh, that's really neat to know that it just feels good to know that the things that were important to me really came through. And now to see my three daughters raising their children to be in the world, I guess they're living my dream, that these kids are growing up with a real sense of being one with the world, being they are actually world schooled now. So the whole transition from the patriarchal to a holistic well-being, I feel like is expressed in my own family experience, and that's pretty neat. Thank you.
Yes, it was wonderful. Thank you for inviting her. And that's the kind of program that it is. It's like real experience, real world knowledge and wisdom that we're sharing with each other, and through that growing our community. So it's wonderful.
It was great. So thank you for all you do. And I'd like to turn it now to Karen Palmer, who has also been making good use of this time of focusing on women and introducing many of these brilliant women to amplifying their voices and helping them to get their messages out into the world. So Karen, tell us how that's been for you.
Well, it's been pure magic. I am so grateful to be working side by side with Rick and Sue and Kathryn and the We team. I am just so excited that the world has expanded our women's campaign to have allies and families. So I have been doing the entire month of March, we are having Women, Allies, and Family Month. So I have been interviewing all types of people, all types of organizations, asking the question, how can we have a world that works for all of us? And also, what is, I have 3 questions that I ask each person. And it's been so beautiful watching each person really take that question to a whole nother level than what I was hoping for as an answer. When I interviewed you, Sue, I was so touched by the way that you were expressing yourself and sharing how excited you are for the youth and for our next generations to come. And we shared together that, we both felt that we did a great job with our daughters because they both felt like they can do anything, anybody, and that there's no limits on them. And so the questions that I asked, the first thing I said was, do you feel that women, family organizations, and allies being treated is important? And then why? And then we asked, do you feel that we are moving in that direction of being treated with respect and dignity for all beings in the workplace and in all situations? It's been amazing. And then I asked people to share a story about a time when they overcame a challenge, when they felt that they were mistreated or disrespected. And it's been incredible watching all of our partners from We the World, all the amazing women's organizations, families organizations, and the allies organizations coming together in a way that I've always envisioned, I think Rick and I both have always envisioned this as we grew together, as we worked together. I came into We the World in 2016, and we weren't even using live stream. We weren't even really using technology the way that it was capable of being used. And so having this whole month dedicated to women, allies, and families, it's just been so beautiful. And it's just evidence. It's so much evidence that this unity consciousness is truly taking over the planet. And it's really bringing more and more people to realize that we have more in common than we have differences, and that we can find a common ground if we do have differences. That's what's been so beautiful. And, you know, being able to work with the partners that have been coming in, you know, May Peace Prevail on Earth, the Peace Pals, Kokori, Aurora with her beautiful She Speaks, all these amazing people just coming together and really seeing that, answering that question, what can we do together that we can't do on our own? It's so powerful, Sue. I'm so grateful. And Rick, I'm so grateful. I honestly feel like we have expanded our opportunities so abundantly together. And I'm just so grateful for that.
Beautiful. And Karen, I know that you have been instrumental in helping We the World kind of bump up into this new world of global networking and social media. And I wonder if you could just share a little bit about your mindful media mom persona.
Well, the funny thing was that I was, you know, speaking about daughters, my daughter understood social media. I made a wish in 2014 for global kindness to go viral. And I had no idea how I was going to do that. It was an intention that I felt was being given to me from my inner wisdom, my inner guidance. I knew that if I could help people to see the power of kindness, that we could see a different world. And I knew that if I could learn how to use social media, I could learn how to use it sacredly, and then I could teach others. And then that was how it was. It was kind of like the Holy Grail. As I learned how, and my daughter, I was actually not even knowing how to upload a video to YouTube when I first started. And I made the wish for global kindness to go viral. And I thought, I'll make a video and then I'll ask other people to share what they're doing in their corner of the world. Well, it's great when you have these big ideas, but if you don't know how to do anything, like that technology piece of it is so important. And it was so beautiful because my daughter taught me how to use social media. That's how I ended up calling myself Mindful Media Mom, because all of a sudden I was becoming a social media expert, somebody who'd never gone to school for any of this, but I was so passionate about wanting to help people to understand the power of kindness. And I'd already been doing this in the schools, but I knew that if I could have a global reach, there was something so much more powerful that was ready to happen. And it's like that beautiful quote, nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. So I had this idea, but there was billions of people all over the world who were having that idea too. And so we just kind of found each other. And then We the World happened. In 2016, as I said, I was starting to really learn how to use, nobody was even using Zoom. Nobody even knew what Zoom was when I started with 2016. And there was no Facebook Lives just yet. There were, you know, we had Periscope, and that was how we were doing things, was through Periscope and Twitter. Then I met Rick, and I'll never forget the first We Team call that we had. It was so exciting because it was just so powerful to actually be in a circle with people who really wanted to see a world that worked for all of us and had an actual plan. You know, the 11 themes of global unity and the 11 themes and those 11 days, how we focus, because focus is follow one course until successful. So we are all focusing on that one goal of global unity for 11 days and putting all of our attention into that. And that's when like I said, I learned how to use technology, and then I just shared it with everybody that I knew. I actually went to a kindness conference and met John Raymer, who's the founder of Compassion Games. And I met him in person, and he showed me an idea that he had of an organization that he wanted to form called SIGN, which is Synergized Impact Network Exchange, SIGN.net. And we had 10 people when we started. There were 10 organizations when we started, and he had never even heard of LiveLeap, and I was using LiveLeap. And so all of these technologies were just coming together, and it was just like the convergence of just nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. I always say that when anybody asks me, like, how did you do it? Like, how did it come together? And I always say, it wasn't me. I opened my heart and I allowed it to come through this physical form, but it was nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. And that's what I think is what Sue's doing with the youth and the children. And I love what she's doing with these games and making it fun and having children to really, really be able to be seen as valuable and important, because we're all important in the web of love. And the web of love is the unified field, but the web of love is our heart. And I think of the web of love as the spider web. We're all in a web, and each one of us is part of the strand, but nobody's more important. Everyone is just as important in a spider web. And so in the web of love, I call it the web of love, where everyone belongs, WEB, where everyone belongs. And I feel like we did that online. We've been able to do that online with the work that we've been doing with SIGN and Spirituality Gone Wild and We the World, and bringing everybody together so that we have a louder voice. And now it's time for us to take it on land and do this across the planet in person once we start opening back up again and we can start hugging. I can't wait to hug again.
Well, I sure thank you for bringing so much kindness into the world. It's been really fun getting to know you and work with you over these last few years. And it's the work that you do with children has really been inspirational for me. And imagining how we can do that has been part of my growing up here. And so I'm just really thrilled that it feels like an idea whose time has come, that we get to start bringing these children and youth into the climate conversation that I'm having with University of Florida and many others as a project of We the World. So I'd like to introduce to you my friend Brianna, who has come to us roundabout through the We network. Her grandmother just happens to be one of our favorite people, and she is the coordinator for We the World's campaign for interdependence. And I think that Brianna brings with her a sense of this interdependence and the oneness of our human family and all life on Earth. And so, Brianna, I'd like to just bring you into this conversation about women and finding our place in balance with the world, and see how has it been for you growing up in this new world of ours.
It's been a journey for sure, because it started out when I was a child, and I was learning about sexism in school as this big, like, topic with bold letters and, you know, all of that stuff. And it was very important that we learned about it. And it felt really, really separate from my life in that way, or maybe because of that, or I'm not sure. But it created this feeling that like, oh, I don't experience that. Like sexism is over. I can get a job. I can get, you know, a place at a university. And I did do all of those things, and I continue to do all of those things. But over time, as I've grown as a woman, and as I've grown as an adult in the world, and as I've grown as like an individual and as a citizen, I notice all of those like microaggressions against women. I notice all of those really, really small things that I didn't notice when I was young because I was a child, and they truly didn't apply to me at that time, because I think we've reached a time where, at least while you're children up to a certain age, everything is kind of the same. Everything is kind of, you know, there are differences still, and there's still work to be done in every realm and with every age group. But I feel like that with children, they have come the farthest, and they continue to go the farthest with making progressions against prejudice and against like inherent hate against, like taught hate against other people. But yeah, as an adult, and as I learn about it even more now, and as I experience it in my life now, I still do feel like that. I still do feel to a degree that I don't experience it on the same level that it was experienced by other women in the past. And it's very evident because it's almost like that, strangely enough, that in and of itself is almost a point that people will use to kind of like attack modern women, is that, oh, you don't have it as bad as other women did in the past, so you should be grateful for what you do have. And that's one big thing that I battle with a lot, is asking for more, knowing that I have enough, knowing that yes, we are equal on most things, but there's still a wage gap, there's still an understanding gap, there's still, just like there's still too many differences that there's too many bridges that need to be crossed still, that we haven't been able to yet as a society. And that's what I think my generation's our role is to continue the fight, is to continue pushing for those things, and to continue asking for more until we truly do have a society where everyone is equal and everyone is judged based off the merit of their own person, male or female, or whatever you want to categorize people by. Long story short, I suppose we've come a long way, and it's very visible, but it's also very visible that we have a long way to go. We have a long fight to fight still.
And welcome to the ever advancing civilization.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe your generation can help to take it just that step further, and then your children will be able to say, thanks, Mom. So I know that Brianna has been actively involved with what's happening with our young people coming into the climate conversation with the Climate Collaboratory at the University of Florida. And I'm just really excited to see how we can progress with bringing in we're looking at the equality of women and men, and bringing all people into the place of wholeness and wellness that's going to serve all the world as we go into this. So let me just invite Red Grammar to join us, because he's got some thoughts on that. And Red Grammar, we're really pleased to have you. Thanks for joining us. Oh, and you're muted.
Hi, nice to be with you.
Thank you. So we've been talking about Women's Month and some of the activities that have been going on. and talking about the intergenerational changes that we've seen, and coming into a time when the children are growing up with a sense that, yes, all people have equal rights and opportunities in the world. And I just wanted to say thank you, Red Grammar, for singing the song called With Two Wings, because it was part of my household when my girls were little. And we just, I'm grateful to say that they grew up knowing that those two wings can fly together, and in their lives, that's very evident. So I'd like to welcome you and just ask you to please share some of your thoughts about women in the world. And yeah.
Well, you're right. I mean, I think this generation has a much better start than mine did, but we still have the adults, giving some cues to them. You really have to. It has to be something that we really believe is necessary, And of course, the song With Two Wings talks about this idea that humanity is a bird and both wings need to be equally strong. And as much as I think we often think that, there are actual decisions that have to be made in families and, priorities and so forth that allow that to occur. So I think we just need to keep pressing on. And I think all of us agree that none of us really know what it looks like. Exactly.
Right.
But sure, women feel when it's closer, right?
So I wonder if we could ask you to sing that song. Would
Well,
you be
sure.
willing to do that?
Of course, I'd be happy to. This is a song I wrote with my late wife, Kathy, some years back. With two wings, we can soar through the air. With two wings, we can go most anywhere. With two wings, we can sail through the sky. With two wings, we can fly. I am one winged father and brother. By myself, all I can do is flutter. I'm only one wing, I need the other for the dove of peace to fly. I am one winged sister and mother. By myself, all I can do is flutter. One wing, I need the other for the dove of peace to fly. With two wings, we can soar through the air. With two wings, we can go most anywhere. With two wings, we can sail through the sky. With two wings, we can fly. I am one voice, I am the other. I'm half of the world, and I am the other. When we learn to work together, then the dove of peace will fly. With two wings, we can soar through the air. With two wings, we can go most anywhere. With two wings, we can sail through the sky. With two wings, we can fly. With two wings, we can fly.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Welcome.
That's just great. I'm really excited for you to meet two of the people that are walking with us on the road through 2021 to 2030, when we are, I should say three people, when we are 2030, when we're going to win all of the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations. And then we're going to keep going until it's 2050, and we're going to reverse global warming. All right? And so what we're doing is setting the stage right now for some action. We call it a climate conversation to action program that we're working on. It's a pilot project with We the World and the University of Florida Extension. And so our goal is to bring this conversation about women and other themes that happen during our 11 days of global unity with We the World. And those are things that each day has a theme, such as unity, interdependence, environment, economic justice, health, women, children and youth. Let's see if I can do them all. It would be human rights, disarmament, and peace. How about that, Rick? So those are 11 days of global unity. And what we're doing in our, what we call a collaborative storytelling adventure, is turning those campaigns, kind of a masculine way of thinking about it, into the 11 gardens of global unity. And so, yes, we have to go out and reach into the world, but we also need this nurturing. And so we're developing both wings for this climate conversation and helping people to find their own action, what brings joy to their hearts. It's not that everybody's going to do the same thing. We're all going to be doing different things. And so Brianna has been working with me and some other young people to start a kind of a game show that will bring a lightheartedness, which is what I appreciate so much about Red Grammar, the joy and the lightheartedness that he brings to so many of these topics. So Brianna, I wonder if you could just tell us a little about what's happening with the group that we call Tomorrow's Dreamers.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now with Tomorrow's Dreamers, we are, like Sue said, we're building our game show, of which we're going to have our first on Sunday. So in the game show, we're going to be covering different groups. So it's kind of an intergenerational conversation during the game show. We're doing it in a couple different segments, broken up by age groups, and in each segment there's going to be kind of a story told or something shared, and in one of the segments, that's when we play the game, the Kahoot game that I create, and we're going to play a different one each week. Those are going to kind of bring that element of fun and that element of like secret learning, you know, educating the people watching while keeping it lighthearted, keeping it fun, and then kind of having that be the attention grabber of the show, while following it up with these conversations and these moments where we have different people, different guests share their stories or share their thoughts on the topic that we are focusing on that week. And our topics are going to be based off of the Earth Charter, I believe. The first of is the preamble, and then we're going through each of the pillars after that with the succeeding 5. So yeah, I'm really excited about it because that's going to be one of the campaigns, one of the like mini projects that I'll be covering for the Gazette that I'm compiling. That's going to include stuff like this as well. So there will be a little blurb about what we talked about today. There's going to be some pieces from other panels that I've been joining, that we have been joining, that everyone's been joining, as we talk about having people and their ideas and having them all kind of converge into one thing. That's kind of what our Gazette is planned to be, is to be somewhere where we can have all of these informational things, all of these links to different people, different activities, different things that we have done, that we're planning to do, all of it in one place where we can share it with young people, with people my age, with older people, with everyone, to have it all right there so that we can hopefully bring in more people to the conversation and have it go further and win 2050, like Sue said.
Yay. So I'd like to expand that just a little bit, because what Brianna is doing is she's the editor-in-chief at this point of the Welcome to We Printernet Gazette. And so that's like an extension of this Welcome to We show. And it is helping to bring in people of all ages into the climate conversation to action program. And so we have a program for children, and Karen is helping with that. And maybe you could tell us about Miss Kindness and her neighborhood.
Well, I am considered Miss Kindness. I've been going into schools for almost 20 years, and I'm kind of a modern day mystical Mr. Rogers, Dr. Seuss, and Weird Al Yankovic of kindness and compassion. So as the Miss Kindness's global neighborhood, will be expanding the vision of Mr. Rogers, who was very dear to my heart, who actually helped me during the time of my parents' divorce. And so I'm very passionate about bringing his beautiful message of hope to the children of the younger generations. And so I really loved the land of make-believe. And it was one of my favorite things, was the land of make-believe. And so I teach mindfulness, I teach social emotion, Brianna was saying, social emotional learning and all of these things that have been happening throughout the years through schools are opening up to more and more possibilities for social emotional learning, more heart intelligence, more emotional intelligence. And so I take a lot of larger concepts and bring them into a preschool or a kindergarten mentality so that they can hear those larger concepts in a song and make them more accessible as they're being educated. And so we wanted to, Sue and I have been talking with some beautiful children, and we wanted to expand the land of make-believe to help children to learn how to do meditation and breathing exercises, and to go on inner journeys, and to understand how powerful their emotions are, and how to navigate their emotions, how to understand their feelings. And so I do that through kind of like acronyms of like SIFT, which is we sift through our feelings. So we have sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. And then we rain on our emotions, where instead of pushing those emotions away, we recognize them, we acknowledge them, we investigate them, and then we nurture them. And I do that all through song. And inner journeys are really about getting that inner strength, that inner power. And one of our partners who I'm working with, the Peace Pals and May Peace Prevail on Earth, I will be organizing some apps that are going to go into our Kokori app. So we'll have all of these activities available for teachers to be able to use these beautiful technologies in their schooling, and teachers can use them, or parents can use them, grandparents, aunts, uncles. So that's kokoriapp.com. So that's another partner of us at We the World. So it's all coming together, and it's going to all kind of bring it all together in Miss Kindness's global neighborhood, where everyone's your neighbor. Everyone on the planet is your neighbor. And how about that concept?
There's a good concept. Red Grammar, I bet you could sing a song about that too.
Yeah. I love your song too. It's so beautiful.
Thank you, Karen. Actually, and I know the whole concept of sustainability and meeting these goals are really dear to my heart. They always have been. But about a year and a half ago, my son Andy and I were sitting talking, and he said, "Dad, what do you really want to do an album about?" And I said, "Well," he said, "No, I mean, really, we're pretty intense with each other about this stuff, And I said, "What I really want to do is an album about the environment, but I'm so afraid it's going to be dark and dreary, because it means so much to me. I mean, nature feeds my heart so much and my soul, and to watch what's happening is very upsetting, I said, "I don't know how I would write those songs." He said, "Well, if anybody can do it, Dad, you can." So that was the challenge. He threw down the gauntlet. And it's interesting because I couldn't start writing the songs, but I had started to write kind of silly children's poetry. And I just found myself writing kind of fun, silly songs about aspects of the environment, which began the process of this album. And then there's one song that's actually fairly challenging. It's called Mother Nature Has a Fever. And maybe I'll sing a little of that so you can get where that's going. But the rest of the album sort of balances that with trying to find, kind of interesting ways of approaching this issue. So for example, biodiversity. We have all this. Nature is unbelievable in the way she just creates all these variations on a theme, so this song came out. I'll just sing the first verse. There are 15,000 kinds of tomatoes. Some are red, some are orange, some are green. Some are purple, almost blue. Some are yellow through and through. The striped ones are the coolest I have ever seen. It goes on and on, lists all these different kinds of tomatoes. It's a march. And every time I sing it, kids are just, they can't get that line out of their heads. There's composting, we're big on composting at our house. And so I write, there's a garbage dump out my back door. Why me? Why us? Go figure. My mom adds to it every day and it just keeps getting bigger. Rotten tomatoes, cherry pits, slimy overripe spinach, and the veggie soup at the back of the fridge. We meant to, but never quite finished, and it goes on to talk about how it turns into this great stuff, Yeah. There's actually one of the serious topics that I chose to do, this idea of extinctions. Things are going extinct. And the black rhinoceros, there are two species, and the western black rhinoceros is now extinct. The eastern one is still with us, but it's, under a lot of pressure. And so I wrote this really kind of silly song about the fearsome majesty of this animal, and then there's a little asterisk, that will be with it, that just says, well, we have one of these two left, The challenge of how to do this in a fun way, but really what my goal of this new album is to activate or amplify your love for the planet to such a degree that you will be so offended by the degradation of the planet that's going on that you'll do something about it. And so most of it is celebratory. A little bit is challenging. There's this one that is really is a sweet approach to it. It's like it's looking out into the cosmos and then looking back. And it goes like this. I stand beneath an open sky, a vast expanse of blue.
galaxies with massive neutron stars and things like anti-gravity, dark matter, and quasars. And on those far-off planets, are there creatures living there? If so, what do they eat for lunch? What do they breathe for air? Do they have fruits like cherries and figs and nectarines, and vegetables like broccoli, bok choy, and lima beans? Do they have grass to run on and big, tall, climbing trees and daffodils and hummingbirds and butterflies and bees? So far, we only know of one such miracle in space, with cats and dogs and speckled frogs and us, the human race. Though off to other planets one day astronauts may roam, we humans hit the jackpot when we got this one for our home.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, well, well.
Hmm.
How lovely. I'm going to say that when Miss Kindness takes us into that land of make-believe, and we're going through our gardens of global unity, we sure would love to have you on the road to 2030, 2050, and beyond with us, you know, and sing some of those songs. It's just so endearing. And that's the way I always knew you when you were young and I was younger. And it was just such a special thing. There's one song that I also would love for you to sing, and I'm going to relate it to the Earth Charter that Brianna mentioned. And these 6 shows that she's talking about we're looking at, I don't know if you're familiar with the Earth Charter, maybe I should say something about that. That it's a document that was created by visionaries, just regular people that started out saying we really need to have some guidelines for taking care of this beautiful planet of ours. And they tried to get it ready for the first United Nations Conference on the Environment, and that was in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, and they just couldn't get it ready fast enough. So the individuals just said, well, we have to do this. And they kept working and getting more and more people involved in what turned into a really global consultation to decide what it is that we, the peoples of the world, would like for our future. And in the year 2000, they launched this document at the Peace Palace in The Hague in the Netherlands. And for 20 years now, we've been practicing and learning how to live the vision. And what it says at the very end is, let ours be a time remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life. And so that's really what our whole program is about on the road to 2030, 2050 and beyond. It's also the focus of our what we call the Florida Climate Conversation to Action program that we're doing with the University of Florida. And I wanted to just bring it into this last principle of the Earth Charter under democracy, nonviolence, and peace. The Earth Charter says that we recognize that peace is the wholeness created by right relationships with oneself, other persons, other cultures, other life, Earth, and the larger whole of which all are a part. So I want to thank you, Red, for taking us into the larger whole of which all are a part, and then using that to realize and recognize how special and precious this Earth of ours is. And we can all work together to make it safe and healthy for all living things. So I wonder, and actually, as I've been telling this story, I've got it really well developed in my own mind, but I'm trying to get it out into the world. And so we're doing it with children and acting it out. We have some kids who are making little gnomes out of clay, and they're telling the story in their gnome garden. And so this is where we're going to be taking a lot of children, we hope, into these gardens of global unity. But in my mind, they've always been singing, teaching peace all the world around. And I wonder if you would give us that one.
Sure, sure. And, you know, it's so connected to what you were talking about earlier, which is the equality of these two wings. We've never had it. And so we don't even know what it means to be human. I mean, have you ever seen what's the defining characteristic of a bird? That it flies, right? But you've never seen a bird take off with only one wing working, right? Or one stronger than the other. So when we have these two wings, gosh, what the feminine will bring and is bringing, but will continue to bring, and when it's equal, we'll be able to have peace. Gosh, what does it mean to be a human being? You know, we don't know yet because we've never seen it completely, right? What justice? What sustainability? What peace? You know, what prosperity for everybody? That's the 2050 and beyond, right? In peace, all the world around, you and me, every city, every town, one by one in our work and in our play, we are teaching peace by what we do and what we say. It's up to us to show we care, reaching out to everybody, everywhere, heart to heart, and friend to friend, circling all around the world and back again, teaching peace all the world around, you and me, every city, every town, one by one in our work and in our play, we are teaching peace by what we do and what we say. So take my hand and come along. It's time to sing the world a brand new song. So sing it loud and sing it clear, all together now so everyone can hear. Teaching peace all the world around, you and me, every city, every town, one by one in our work and in our play, we are teaching peace by what we do and what we say. Teaching peace by what we do and what we say.
Yay! Wonderful, wonderful. And so I'd like to just ask Karen and Brianna both about how music plays into this whole climate conversation that we're having with young people. Karen, you want to start?
Sure. So music to me is the universal language of love. And I think that children are realizing more and more that their word is their wand. And when we are saying songs like Red just sang there, that's a proclamation. That's a declaration. And when we sing a song like that with emotion and joy, and we go into our heart space, you know, I'm very passionate about heartmath.org and learning how we can really you have the heart and brain coherence. And that is what I'm doing with everything. I'm taking music and science and everything together to help us to show that it's all interconnected. It's all interdependent on each other. We're all interdependent on each other. And I love that, you know, we are seeing this. I said that our global neighborhood is a concept. It's a concept. I know we're all related. We are all related. But right now in our world, in this world that we are in right now, it's basically a concept is oneness. Oneness is a concept, but it's a reality to many of us in our own hearts. So what we need to do is find a way to integrate what we have all understood as a concept into an experience, so that we are all experiencing this. And we've all had this dream for a long time, and it's now time for us to love this dream into this reality, into this world, into this experience. And so that's what I think music does. It opens your heart and it brings you into the web of love where everyone belongs.
Yay. And how about you, Brianna?
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, it creates a connection that not many other, well, I don't know, that mediums of all of art of all forms create connections, but music is very specific because it has that feeling that, you know, to an extent it mimics your heartbeat. It mimics the things that are going on in your own body and in the body that we all share. We all have the same thing going on, and we can all feel that in a really connective way. And it's incredible sometimes how music can create subliminal lessons and teachings and understandings, especially in children who grow up to certain songs. When you grow up to songs like the songs that Red Grammar is putting out, then you're growing up with an intuitive, like an inherent sense of equality, of positivity, of that yearning for growth, that desire for equality, for seeing those things within your own lifetime, and the willingness to do what it takes to make those things happen. Music, it creates, it's kind of like it's the energy for that conversation, for the fight that we need to have, for the path that we need to go down. It's the fuel for it. It keeps us going. When people are, you know, at least when I'm going on like a long hike or something, or when I'm doing a tedious task, I know that music helps me get through it. And it, you know, for really small things, it's distracting, but, or like, you know, it helps distract my brain so that I can just do it. But sometimes for larger things, listening to music can inspire me to do those things, or to do them better, or to do them with more passion. And seeing that on a larger scale, knowing that music can do that for a large group of people all at once is just, it's incredible. It's very powerful.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And Rick Ulfik, you have some music in your life. Why don't you share some of your experience with this?
Right. And so there's so many things I was thinking of as we were talking. So Red, first of all, thank you for such wonderful performances. And and people, he makes it seem very easy what he's doing. And I just want people to understand that he is a total pro. I mean, I've been in the music business for 35, 40 years. Yeah. And so Red is playing guitar like another person is playing guitar, very solid and rhythmic, you know, right on the beat and everything. But he's singing fluidly, so he holds back and does all this stuff with his voice as if he's like, so it's like two separate people. I guess it's his two wings there, his guitar and his voice. Uh, I just want people to understand that he's a crackerjack pro. Um, so a few different things that I was thinking when Karen, when you're talking about the land of make believe, and we were all talking about that a bit. There's a singer who did a fabulous song and an album with that name, and I was actually her music director for a while. Her name is Esther Satterfield, and so if you look up Esther Satterfield and Land of Make Believe, it's a fabulous, fabulous song. And at a certain point, I was her music director when she was kind of on the concert tour promoting that song, which was actually a hit song at that point. Yeah, so I've had a long music career, and where it's happening now or connecting now is South by Southwest is doing their big annual festival, and Lisa Pavati invited me to be on her panel for the festival. And Lisa has an organization called the Eco Conscious Music Alliance, and we did this wonderful panel for the South by Southwest on the importance of music in social change, which is, of course, what we're all talking about now. And there's an after party that's happening with that also. That's a concert. And at that after party on Sunday, the 21st, I think it is, there's going to be a feature of We the World's first album compilation, music album compilation. So some of the recording artists who contributed songs for the compilation will be featured during this after party for South by Southwest, produced by Lisa Pavati. So that's so exciting. And one of the songs, I guess it's like the title song of this compilation album it's called We the World Song. It's about We the World. And it sort of embodies this concept of we and we consciousness that we talk about so much on the Welcome to We show, because 9 people collaborated on a single song. Can you imagine that? From 3 different countries and 9 completely different locations. We wrote it on Zoom. I played the keyboard track, and we did this whole thing, and the whole thing was done by consensus. And you can relate to this, Red. Can you imagine the lyrics, the chords, the melody, the style, the groove, the rap in the middle? It was all agreed on by consensus. So we were thinking of, and it's about we and we consciousness. So we used a we process in actually doing the song. So yes, so so music is, of course, a big part of my life, and so important to what we're all doing.
Oh, I would just want to add one thing about our what's called it's not rolling off of my tongue yet, Brianna. It's called the Earth Flash Game Show. And this is with the young people who are putting this together with some elders. We are trying now to make everything we do intergenerational. And so that what I'm looking for is a game called there's a song for that. And so it just, as you go through your day, I play this with my family. And as something comes up in conversation, I go, oh, there's a song for that. And I ask if anybody knows it. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Most of the times they don't, because I remember songs from my childhood, right? That kids today have no idea. Sometimes their mom knows them, but it's just really fun to play what I consider an intergenerational game that lets each generation shine in its own way with its own songs. And so, what we're looking for is to have our children's program with certain songs that go with that. Our youth program will have songs that appeal to that age group. The adults have different songs, the elders have different ones, and we're putting them all together in a kind of symphony that which reminds me, there's one more song I would love for you to sing if you don't mind. And that's the one that says we're all like notes that make up a song. We need everybody. So come on, sing along.
Oh, right. Hello. You can, well, it's Zoom, so it'll all be out of
Yeah,
time.
it doesn't work.
Hello, hello, hola, hola, jambo, jambo, ni menda jahoma. That's the new version. The original was Cantonese, but I found out it was ganloi de moon homa, which I found out was kind of like saying, recently, how hast thou been? Very high Cantonese. So, and then I've been going to China, so now I do the Mandarin. Ni menda jahoma. Now, all across this big wide world, there are lots of boys and lots of girls with different eyes and different noses, different hair and different clothes. It's a magical thing. It's a wonderful game. We all look different, but we're all the same. Boom, 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 boom. Now, the differences are great and the differences are small, but that's just part of the beauty of it all. We're all like notes that make up a song. We need everybody, so come on, sing along. Hello, hello, hola, hola, jambo, jambo. How about French? Bonjour. How about Hawaiian? Aloha. That's the actual hula move for hello. Aloha, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum. How we could go on and on. How about the Native American? Has some Native American languages. How about the Iroquois? Sehego. How about Ojibwe?
Ojibwe is boujou.
Huh?
Ojibwe is boujou.
She
Bonjour.
knows.
Somebody said, I mean, right? Is that, yeah? Bonjour. Lakota, how? Navajo, Yate. The Kootenai tribe in Montana. Kisukukye. We'll go across the Pacific Ocean. Korean, annyeonghaseyo, namaste. How about Italy? Buongiorno, yasu, privyet, good day, mate, howdy, hey y'all. Ni menda jahoma, ni menda jahoma, banana.
Da, 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 da. Thank you. So I think you're wonderful. And it's just been a real joy to have you here today. And Rick, I'd like to ask you to get away.
Okay. Wow, this has been so fabulous. From each of you has just been so wonderful contribution. So, just a couple of quick announcements. The next Welcome to We show will be in April, right before Earth Day. It'll be on. It's the third Tuesday of each month, and so it'll be April 20th. I also wanted to mention that the online magazine called Trends, we have just released that. So it's, the full name is Trends in Global Grassroots Organizing, and it's about featuring the change agents and movements creating peace, justice, sustainability, and transformation. You can download the latest issue here at trends.we.net. And to learn more, of course, about We the World, just go to we.net. Um, and we certainly invite you to collaborate with We the World by going to we.net/partner. And I guess the last thing that I'd like to share is that our dear friend Jonathan Granoff, what he said when we launched the We campaign about 10 years ago, he said, I hope that we expands so much that there is no longer any them. So thank you and bye-bye. And it's all about we, right? Thank you.
Thank you all.